If you are in a place where it is comfortable, safe, and appropriate for you to do so, please close your eyes and take a few slow, long, deep, relaxing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. With every inhale, feel more light and peace entering your body and mind. And as you exhale, feel like gravity is taking away from you all tension and anything else that you do not want. We picture ourselves on top of a beautiful mountain in the center of a circular grove of trees. In the center of our circle, a bonfire is blazing forth, lighting us and the grove up with a sacred golden light. We recognize that this is the light of perfect love and perfect trust. It gently and easily burns away everything that is not like itself, leaving us safe, peaceful, and happy. Into this sacred space, we invite the presence of our Creator. To many of us, our Creator reveals themselves as a god and goddess, a mother and father. Into this space, we also invite the presence of our teachers, angels, and guides. We dedicate the time that we spend together to each other and to them. We ask that we be guided and led as we walk upon the way, becoming happier, more peaceful, more prosperous, more joyous, more gracious, more healthy, and more loving people. Thank you very much. And if it's appropriate for you to do so out loud, you can join me in saying, "Blessed be." Today, I would like to discuss the 8th sphere on the Tree of Life and its divine name, Elohim Tsabaoth. Now, if you notice that the sphere directly opposite, sphere number 7, has the god name of Yehovah, or Tetragrammaton, Tsabaoth. And if you look straight up the left side of the tree, you'll notice that all of the spheres on the left side of the tree have something to do with Elohim. And on the right, they all have something to do with the Tetragrammaton, with the exception of the sphere number 4. And Tetragrammaton is now, instead of on sphere number 4, on sphere number 6. In psalm magic, oftentimes you hear either Yehovah, or Tetragrammaton, or Elohim as the name given to the force, the supreme force. In the King James Version of the Psalms, God means Elohim and Lord means Yehovah. That's how they've always pretty much translated them. And there's more intricacies there that we can get into at another time, but suffice it to say that in the Psalms, if you hear God, it's the Hebrew word Elohim, and if you hear Lord, it's the Tetragrammaton, or Yehovah, or Yod-He-Vav-He. So there are 2 Tsabaoths on the tree, and they are directly opposite of one another. One is sphere number 8, often called splendor or glory. And then directly opposite of that, sphere number 7, is another Tsabaoth. So Yehovah Tsabaoth for sphere number 7, and Elohim Tsabaoth for sphere number 8. Tsabaoth means of armies or of hosts. So on sphere number 7, which we've spoken of already, it means God exists as armies, or God exists as the host. Whereas on sphere number 8, it's the gods exist as the host. If you look back at the primitive mind of those people scribing those ancient scriptures, the host really meant the sun, the moon, the stars, and the zodiac. But those things were representations of angels. So the host represents angels. Now on sphere number 8 is ruled by the planet Mercury in the Hermetic Qabalah. And so this starts to speak to angels being thoughts of God. Thoughts of God. You could even call it the intellect of God. So all of the different ideas of God exist on sphere number 8. Everything is an idea, and the understanding that everything is an idea and a part of the intelligence of the infinite is what sits on number 8. All of the Hermetic sciences exist on sphere number 8, and the teachings of Hermes exist on sphere number 8. So all of the Hermetica, all of that. Sphere number 8 really starts to deal with the intellect of God, and very frequently that word hod, that it shows up in the Hebrew Bible in the Psalms a lot as glory, but very frequently hod, or that idea of glory or splendor, has to do with prayer. So that is the communication between the creator and the created. So there we have some idea of language, and there we have some idea of writing. So language and writing. Whereas over on the other side of the tree, directly opposite on sphere number 7, it's a type of prayer as well, but it's more emotional, and it had to do with art and music and dancing and emotional connection with the infinite. Where we are today on sphere number 8 is an intellectual communication with the divine. So when we think in terms of the intelligence that causes a baby to be able to come from an embryo, the planets to revolve around a sun, the idea that the green plants are able to convert one gas for another in order for us to thrive, and with these bodies, there will never be a time science discovers it all, because it is infinite. So intellect in that regard is very holy. Elohim Tsabaoth, the gods, exists as the host, exists as the angels. We start to recognize our intellectual oneness with the infinite. There is no place where my mind stops and the divine mind starts. And any place where I feel separate from infinite intelligence is a construct, is an illusion, is a protective device that I have created to, for whatever reason, protect myself from God, protect myself from the divine. And when we stop protecting our minds and stop building private intellects for ourselves, then we actually have access to all wisdom, all knowledge. Nothing is withheld from us. And so occult wisdom and occult knowledge exist on this sphere number 8. Now, occult means hidden and secret. A lot of people search for occult secrets, and they search in old books, they search in rituals, they join secret societies, they apprentice to so-called spiritual masters, and those things might be very good, but ultimately, occult knowledge is hidden because it cannot be spoken. It cannot be spoken. The language and the writing of infinite intelligence is not translatable to something that we understand on the mortal side of the veil. So many times we misunderstand occult as being something that's hidden and secret that we need to discover with our human intellect. In reality, what that means is that our human intellect is incapable of understanding it, and that's why it remains hidden and occult. What we have to do is awaken to our higher intellect, awaken to the part of us that understands the language of the angels, that understands the writings of God. That's where the mystery of Hermes is there. The Hermes or Tahuti, that Greek god or that Egyptian god that's capable of moving between the two worlds, is the grand translator between one world and the other. On sphere number 8 is that mystery of transmutation, that mystery of transmigration and translation from one world to another. As we contemplate that sphere, and we can learn to quiet the racing of our human intellect, we're capable of receiving that occult wisdom directly from the sphere. And it's no accident that what we study are called the Hermetic sciences. The Hermetic sciences come, yes, from those writings of Hermes, the thrice greatest, but they represent something even more ancient than those writings, and that is that Hermes or Tahuti, or that mercurial deity figure, is always available to us to translate to us the arcane wisdom and that unknowable occult knowledge that everybody seems to be seeking. And so to know the unknown is the mystery of sphere number 8. To know the unknown is the mystery of this idea that the gods are the angels. The gods are the thoughts of the infinite. Now, once you get beyond that ego mind, once you get beyond that veil of mortality, we believe that we are this person that goes by this name, that has this body, that lives in this place at this time. That's what we believe we are. And that's the part of us that can never know the occult wisdom. But once we get beyond that, we recognize that we are one of the thoughts of the infinite. We are a thought of God. We are an idea. And to the ego mind, the concept that we're an idea of God makes us feel like, we're just an idea? Big deal. I'm just an idea. That's how the ego wants to think of that. But in reality, that's amazing. I'm an idea in the mind of God. Just think about that for a minute. You are an idea in the mind of God. God thinks about you. When we say God, we're not talking about some anthropomorphic deity up in the sky. We're talking about the one power of all the universe. And you are an idea. That's what your soul is. When we say you're an extension of light, you're an idea. You're a thought. God is thinking about you. It's not something that can happen in the past because God doesn't exist in the past. It's happening in the moment. God thinks of you right now. That's why you're here. That's why you have any consciousness whatsoever. That's huge. And that's what exists on sphere number 8 is the realization, ultimately, that you are an idea in the mind of the infinite. And so that's when it says in the Psalms that God made you just below the angels. It doesn't mean that the angels are better than you. It just means that you and the angels are from the same fabric. You and the angels are the same idea. The reason why you are considered, quote, lower than the angels is that the angels know who they are and you just forgot. You're the infinite child of God. Within that, this is where all of the writings come from, all of the scriptures come from, all of the magical systems come from, all of the Hermetica come from. Every intellectualization of God is on this sphere, and you have access to all of it. And that's what that mystery of Mercury, the mystery of Tahuti, the mystery of Hermes, is that go-between from the invisible world to the visible world. You have always got that guide, that teacher, that angel of knowledge that is constantly with you, constantly able to bring you every piece of information that you need at every moment of time and point of space, no matter what. No matter what. That's sphere number 8. Now, what do we do with sphere number 8? We build up all kinds of weird intellectual garbage that has nothing to do with receiving wisdom, but has to do with making up stuff. And so we have book after book after book of nonsense. We have all kinds of stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves and the world. We have all these so-called memories that we base our existence on. And so that's the ego's version of the intellect, The ego's version of sphere number 8 is a bunch of data. Unusable data, untrue data, data that's misunderstood, data that is useless. But we are preoccupied with our own data. So the transformative powers of sphere number 8 and of Mercury is to take all of our data and allow it to be translated into something usable. And if you go straight up that left-hand side of this tree, you'll see that on the top of that side of the tree, that what looks like the left-hand side, but would be the right-hand side if you were backed into the tree, is that sphere of Saturn, sphere number 3, where the Holy Spirit or the goddess or Shekinah has the atonement principle, which is to sort out all of the nonsense. Then below that is the sphere of Mars, which destroys everything that is not the truth, which is a good thing. And below that is this sphere number 8. So sphere number 8 is here to present to us all of this knowledge. And then we allow ourselves to bring that knowledge and allow the entirety of that side of the tree to tweak us, to realign us so that we're no longer subject to nonsense data and we are only subject to infinite intelligence. Hermes is very busy. That's why Hermes has got the wings on the feet. It's constantly flitting about from sphere to sphere to sphere to sphere to make sure that everything is communicated properly, that everything is balanced properly. The job of sphere number 8 is to bring that intellectual and mental balance to all aspects of the tree. So when we are in a state where we don't understand what's going on, or we're very afraid, or things aren't working out for us, or we have problems, one of the things that is usually necessary is for us to ask that our mind be healed. Ask that our intellect be healed. Stop coming up with our own ego ideas. Purification is necessary because our own ego minds, our own mortal thinking has a lot of stories about us and the world that are just not true. And we are preoccupied with those stories that are just not true. And sphere number 8 is capable of taking all of those concepts and relieving us of the ones that no longer serve us if we are amenable to such a thing. But remember, nothing happens against our will. So we have to not only be willing to have that happen, we have to be desirous that that happens. And that's what occult wisdom is all about. And that's why it exists on sphere number 8 and why Hermes or Mercury or Tahuti are in charge of such a thing, because it's such a mammoth project and it's nothing that we could ever do all by ourselves. We don't have the capacity from our mortal perspective to ever be able to sort through the massive amounts of information and data that have been collected not only in this time but over lifetimes that are constantly available to us and those Akashic records. We don't have what it takes by ourselves as individual egos to be able to know what's good knowledge and what's not good knowledge, what's true knowledge and what's not true knowledge. But infinite intelligence does know such things. And so that side of the tree, they call that the pillar of severity, but you want intellect to be severe. You don't want to allow yourself to think thoughts that are not true. Why? Because thought creates form. All thought creates form on some level. And so the longer we're thinking thoughts that aren't true, then we are experiencing experiences that aren't true. And when we're experiencing experiences that aren't true, we have pain. We have nightmares. We have problems. If we want to get rid of the nightmares, pain, and problems, we need to allow the severity of that entire pillar on the left side of that tree to purify our minds of every concept that is not true. Purify our intellect of every concept that is not true. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.